Good evening, folks, and a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us on DinamoTV. My name is Tonchi Prusat, and I'll be with you for the next 60 minutes or so. And it is episode 34. Goodness me, how quickly the year goes by and how quickly the tournament is getting closer and closer. Look, it's so much to talk about, no doubt about that. But on tonight's show, we're going to take a little bit of a step aside, and we're going to first of all we're going to talk to Tom Pondeljak. He's one of our guests tonight, the senior women's head coach, about the season that was just on Sunday. Our ladies team finished the season, and it was quite a successful one. Did one better than they did last year, and finished the competition in State League 2 women's with in third place. When most of the year we're looking at definitely sitting in second spot. But it was a great year overall, and we're going to catch up with Tom, and he's going to give us his views on the season that was, and also where to next for the senior women's team as they gear up for the upcoming Australian-Croatian soccer tournament. Also, we'll be talking to none other than Micky Colina in part 2 of our Dinamo Living Legends series. And whereas 2 weeks ago, Micky spoke about his playing career, tonight Micky Colina will be speaking about his coaching career. And he's one of, if not the only, coach to have coached at all of the Croatian clubs here in Melbourne and Victoria, I should say. So there's a lot to get through tonight. We're going to take a very quick commercial break, and when we do return, it's time for the news desk. It's DinamoTV that you're watching. Right back.
The I&D Group is regarded as one of the largest deliverers of concrete structure solutions in Victoria. Formed in 1994 by Ivan and Kathy Filipovic, their passion and commitment to getting the job done safely and economically has underpinned their success in the industry. I&D partners with large-scale building and construction companies in both the private and public sectors on projects large and small. With our corporate headquarters based in South Melbourne and storage yard based in the southeast suburbs, we have at our disposal thousands of square metres of quality materials, along with state-of-the-art lifting and crane equipment, enabling us to deliver the largest projects. We are committed to delivering high-quality projects by partnering with our clients and collaborating with project suppliers to ensure each job is delivered to exceed expectations. From humble beginnings, I&D now employs more than 1,200 dedicated professional and support staff, involved in a number of landmark projects right across Victoria. The I&D Group is a massive supporter of the Croatian community, backed soccer clubs in Victoria, and is proud to be the major sponsor of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club in 2024.
Welcome back to DinamoTV, and let's launch straight into the news desk. As far as our junior boys NPL teams are concerned, there are still another 3 rounds to go after the fourth last round, or round 19, was played on the weekend. And overall, a very, very good weekend it was for our Dinamovci. In the under-14s, Dinamo defeated Werribee City 3-0. Xavier Boulos, Dominic Bilic and Sebastian Vlachek scoring singles apiece for the home side. So after that, it was the under-15s' turn to play at home or to host their opponents. They hosted Brunswick City, and an identical scoreline was achieved after the end of the regulation time. Nicholas Logozzo, Maxim Mikulic and Dylan Bosanko scoring for Dinamo as Dinamo ran out 3-0 winners in the under-15s. In the under-16s, Dinamo travelled to Whittlesea Rangers and came away with a massive 7-1 win. Well done to the under-16s. Stephen Reiher scored a hat-trick. Dina Krmek, Lucas Hanania, Eric Magro and Cruz Boyadu scoring singles apiece. In the under-18s, it was a 2-2 result for Dinamo, who travelled up to Ballarat City. and at the magnificent Ballarat Regional Soccer Facility there, came away with a draw, courtesy of goals to Ahmed Halil Koban and Yanni Apostolikas, prolific goal scorer that he is. This weekend we've got round 20 and 3 games being played at Churchill Reserve. The 14s host Ballarat City at 11:45. The under-16s host Ballarat City also at 1:15 though. And in the under-18s, Dinamo taking on Brimbank Stallions at 3:15. And the under-15s are the only team to travel, and they travel to Eltham North Reserve to take on the Redbacks. That game kicking off at 11:30. All right, let's have a look at the ladders. So after the completion of round 19 in the under-14 Division 3 Northwest competition, Dinamo are in 3rd position. In the under-15s, Dinamo are in 4th position. Over the page, under-16s are in 3rd, and then the under-18s at the moment on top and doing it very, very well. And they come up against 7th placed Brimbank Stallions this weekend. The senior women, they concluded their 2024 season with a very good 3-0 win over Spring Hills. Movric, Delia and Colina scoring the goals for the Dinamovke. And that game was played at Churchill Reserve. And as you can see by the ladder, we finished in 3rd position. And with regards to the women, they will be now gearing up for the Australian-Croatian soccer tournament, and they will find themselves in quite a tough group. The only Women's Division 1, Canberra, Croatia, Dandenong City, North Geelong Warriors and Strathmore Split are the other teams in that competition. A couple, actually it was last week, in fact, there was a very innovative training session where the under-12 boys Kangaroos team and the under-15 girls teams, both from Dinamo, had a joint training session, and afterwards there was a game that was played as well. We've got some footage of that. It's quite a windy night, as you can tell by the windy conditions. And we've got some footage here of the game that was played in the training session. And you can see the different junior teams coming together for some innovative training methodology. And with the coming up next week and down at North Geelong, a lot of these teams will be in action. A lot of the junior teams from Dinamo will be in action. Pro Cup annual Pro Cup, of course, hosted last year. To the kids there in rather trying conditions, rather windy conditions, but exceptionally well. Okay, folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we will be chatting to our first guest tonight, and that will be Tom Pondeljak, the coach of the senior women's team, the head coach of the senior women's team. Folks, don't go away. It's DinamoTV. Welcome back to DinamoTV, and it's now time for our very first guest for tonight. And he's been a welcomed guest all season. He's the senior coach, the head coach of the senior women's team. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Tom Pondeljak back to DinamoTV. It's been a while, Tom. How you going?
Yeah, doing well, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure, mate. Now, look, the season finished over the weekend, just gone by, and it was a good win, a great win, 3-0 over Spring Hills. Movic, Delia, and Cholina scorers there, and it basically meant the team finished in third position. I guess a bit of unfortunate, I suppose. We were right up until about the second last week. We were looking, or third last week, we were in second position, but two losses to Altona City and to Westgate proved, well, I won't say undoing, but for like I said, for most part of the year, we were in second, we're unbeaten. So we did extremely well and a big improvement on last season.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like you said, we had our last game on the weekend against Spring Hills. Yeah, we obviously knew our fate. We knew where we were, and those previous couple of weeks, both sort of back-to-back games against Altona City and Westgate, we knew it was going to be tough and difficult. But I mean, we had the opportunity. It was there. The girls fought really hard. In both games, they really played a level of football that obviously we've been building throughout the year, and it's just a bit unfortunate. I mean, because they played some really good stuff, and I thought in the end, for both games, probably Altona in particular, we created so many really good opportunities to score some goals, but just sort of one of those days where it sort of wasn't happening for us. But the girls they were fighting hard. We fought to the end, and it was a bit of a kick in the guts, to be honest. I thought we were at least good for a draw, definitely. But and then trying to back up the next week against Westgate. Obviously, another tough encounter. They were on top of the league. They were strong all year. Really wanted to do a number on them on their home patch, but didn't work out that way. And once again, the girls played out of their skins. We deserved at minimum a draw, and but as you know, Taunchy, with football, it's hardly predictable, and we walked away with nothing in the bag. But like I said, the season the girls have had, it's been tremendous. I mean, coming off the back of last year where they did exceptionally, really, really well. They were just really, I think, full of confidence. They could see that we were doing some really good things, and they were playing some really good football. And to back that up and to even step up another level for this year, it's just a credit to the girls. Just their mindset, their mentality, week in, week out. It's just something that you can't coach. You can try and instill it in some ways, but ultimately it's up to the player themselves to come out week to week to push themselves and try and get the best out of themselves. And the girls have definitely done that over the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've been obviously following the fortunes throughout the year, and there's been some consistently good performances throughout. And but from your point of view, you're the coach. What did you find was the biggest improver or the biggest improvement in the girls, collectively speaking? Was it their actual on-field football, or was it their attitude off the park? Or combination of what was it that really stuck in your mind as coach?
Yeah, look, Toncho, I mean, obviously you sort of look back and you try and analyse and understand where you've improved, and you look at the girls as, not only as individuals, but as a collective, as a team. Like I said, from last year, we were growing, we were just working towards something, and like I said, we sort of tried to implement a few things, and the girls took it on board, and I think they started to slowly realise, and I've always said it from the start, that I think one of the main things was just getting them to believe and understand that they're a lot better than what they maybe think that they are. And I think not only with the girls, I think just in general, with any footballer, you get that mindset right.
There seems to be something wrong with the audio there for whatever reason.
Sorry, buds.
We'll just try and see if we can rectify that. You there?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
That's a bit better. Yeah. So look, overall, like as we said, they was quite an impressive performance. They did they did exceptionally well. We'll look at that ladder again, and it was one of those tough leagues where one team's really outstanding, obviously Westgate, but it's just a shame that only one team got promoted from this league. Why is that the case?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, Taunchy. I always had in the back of my mind it was the top two that got promoted, but I suppose we've got to. I'm not too sure. I really don't know because I always thought that two would fall out from State One Northwest. So yeah, look, I'm not sure. That's the way the league is set up, I suppose. And yeah, look, we obviously fell a little bit short this year. Like I said, that the girls were outstanding. I mean, look, Westgate lost one game all year. We only lost two. Like Altona City, it was a really tough battle up the top there, and those small margins can make a big difference come the end of the year. And we did have a couple of draws against Geelong Rangers in particular. That looking back on that, and we sort of said it throughout the year that a result like that can come back to bite you. And look, it definitely did. But putting that aside, I mean, having two losses for the whole season. The girls were exceptional, and like you look at the ladder and you finish third, and you think, well, all that hard work, and you want to fight for that top spot, but that's football, we pick ourselves up, and like I said, we go again next year. We want to get better, finish higher, and just improve, overall as a team and obviously as individuals.
I guess before next year, though, we've got later this month the Australian-Croatian soccer tournament that we're hosting, and we are all excited about that. We did the live draw on last week's show, and there's the women's division: Canberra, Croatia, Dandenong City, North Geelong Warriors, of course, us, and Strathmore split. One group of 5, no semi-finals, and it's simply the top 2 go into the final. It is a pretty tough group, isn't it? Canberra, Croatia, they're an NPLW side. North Geelong Warriors are in State League 1, obviously. Dandenong City got a pretty good women's team from all accounts, and no doubt Strathmore split will be quite tough. So, look, it's a tough division, but the girls have got, as I understand it, they've got a break this week, and they'll be back in training next week. What are your thoughts about that group at the Croatian tournament?
Yeah, Tonchi, it's going to be quite difficult, especially teams like Canberra and North Geelong. Canberra, as I understand, they're probably the best team in Canberra. They play in the NPL over there, so they're always a tough outfit, and we'll definitely be expecting a really tough game against them. They've got a lot of quality players. As with North Geelong, I mean, they're in State 1, and I think they've had a really good year this year, so they'll be really, really tough. They're the top 2 teams that we'll pencil in that we know that we can hopefully try and get a result against. And yeah, Dandy City, they've come along really well this year, as has Strathmore. So look, there's going to be no easy games. It's tournament football. 20 minutes a half. A lot of things can happen pretty quick. So you need to be on your game, and hopefully, we can continue on from what we did last year in Adelaide, and hopefully get ourselves in the final, and obviously hopefully lift a trophy again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess if we had have finished in first position, we would have got promoted to State 1, and we would have needed to have 2 teams, seniors and a reserves team. And we've got a 15s team at the moment, and they're quite young. Some of them are 13, some of them are 14. So quite a big gap a few more years before they get to senior football. What's the plans in the off-season? Is the plans to try and attract enough new players to the club so that we can field 2 teams? And if that was the case, where would the reserves team, would they start like in State 5 or State 4 or something like that, would they?
Yeah, look, Tonchi, I mean, haven't sat down with the club at the moment.
Yep.
I think we need to sit down and work through a few things. Like I said, I mean, we weren't sure. Obviously, if you finish top, you obviously definitely have to have a reserves team in State 1. But we said we'll sort of try and deal with that if that was going to be the case. But as it stands now, obviously we won't be getting promoted. We'll stay in State 2. And look, if we get an influx of girls in trialing for the senior women, and they want to be at the club, I'm sure the club will try and accommodate probably, a second team where there are a lot of clubs out there that have done similar things where they've got their out and out first team sort of senior squad and got a second squad that does play in sort of a lower tier league, whether it's 1 or 2 down. So other clubs have done it. I don't see why we can't do it. It'll all just come down to, obviously the interest in girls wanting to come to the club, and obviously how many sort of come to trial, and we can sort of take it from there.
Awesome. Well, there's going to be no doubt an exciting off season, but before that, we've got the Australian-Croatian soccer tournament, and then before you know it, 2025, a new season, and we can't wait for that. I think we're all going to be a bit depressed over the off season, but no football. But nonetheless, mate, you've done a ripper job in 2024, and personally, I really would like to thank you for all the collaboration, cooperation. Throughout the year. It has been an absolute pleasure, and it's been an absolute pleasure following the fortunes of our senior women's team and watching them do so well. So well done to you, and well done to all the girls.
No worries, Tonchi. Appreciate the sentiment, man. You're always happy to come on and have a bit of a chat, and obviously try and highlight the girls and the good things that they're doing at the club. So, yeah. Really appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
100%. Good on you, mate. That's Tom Pondeljak, the coach of the senior women's team. We'll be back very, very shortly after our next commercial break. And after that, we will feature part 2 of our Dinamo Living Legends interview with Micky Colina, the great Micky Colina. Folks, don't go away.
Westar Prestige is a family-owned second-generation business which is celebrating 50 years of operations this year. They're a specialist prestige collision repair facility situated in the western suburbs of Melbourne, Victoria. However, they service all regions in the state, with many of their clients travelling from far and wide to use their services. They're also able to provide a digital platform for quoting clients' vehicles who are unable to personally attend their premises. They're an authorised manufacturer-approved repair facilities for Mercedes-Benz, Tesla, Peugeot and Suzuki, and are proud of their ongoing affiliation with these brands. They also work closely with a number of Australia's largest insurance brands who entrust them to be part of their preferred repairer network. Their support staff are always happy to assist clients from the initial process of lodging claims through to the final stages of collection of the vehicle on completion of repairs and post-repair. So remember, for all your prestige collision repair needs, consider Westar Prestige, an award-winning, long-standing Australian-owned business.
Welcome back to DinamoTV. This is part 2 of our extensive and exclusive interview with a real legend of the club, Micky Colina. Now, Micky, last week we talked about your playing days, some of the memories and that. But now let's talk about the post-playing days. That's always can be a traumatic time for any player, especially if injury, say, has a telling factor in that. But you've been captain since you were 18. You're now into your 30s. You're having issues with your back, as you spoke about that last week. How did it come about that was it, the end of the playing days? No more Vukovar, no more Dinamo, no more prospect of playing. What happens next?
Yeah, well, look, after the Vukovar piece, as still being involved as a football at amateur level, Gorspitch Bears approached me to if I'd be interested in helping them out, and as a player coach.
And they were just starting out, weren't they?
Yeah,
it was just a real new club.
Marko Butrac, Jure Marinac, Zed Jovanovic, and these are big people in the history of that club, and not to mention Daria Međugorec, who comes into the picture, and so they approached me whether I'd be interested in doing like a player coach thing, and I never, cuckold coach. I mean, we're talking about it sort of thing, and I'll be honest with you, there was never any aspirations or any thought process around the whole coaching thing, and so you figured, okay, you go there and I enjoyed being part of just the social aspect of the club. And so we went on this journey, and okay, cool, we get together twice a week, and you start to try to, I don't know how to say, share your principles that you believe in. Some things very basic in football, how we should behave as a team and as players. And we went on, and I spent a good, I think, almost 3 to 4 years there, you know, and made some fantastic friendships that I still hold today. And they're the things that I always hold dear, you know, on top of the football. So you did this coaching thing there, and you know, we won a couple of things, and you know, you sort of play, you're part of the tournament and all that kind of whole Croatian football team thing that you're part of. And anyway, from that fast forward to 2010, Ivica Juzel, who played for Dinamo, were teammates who went on, as we all know, to play for Melbourne, Croatia. He was coaching at Melbourne Knights, and he approached me whether I'd be interested in coaching the under-21s. And I really never thought about it. You know, it was obviously a little bit daunting to step away from still kicking a ball somewhat, even if it is in a part-time basis in a Sunday league format, to basically letting that sit idle and just trying to focus on this whole coaching thing. And we chatted and spoke to the club, and Pokun Simera was president at the time, and I thought, okay, let's try this. And naturally, you know, you got good people around you to guide you. There was some people that I took on board as mentors, and they weren't all Croatian. You know, I mean, Chris Taylor was one individual that I had a strong friendship with from '98 when he approached me to come across the gully as a player. And even though I didn't, and I stayed at St Albans, from that point we always had a really strong friendship. And he actually become a mentor for me still today. So that was my first coaching thing in under-21s in Melbourne Knights, 2011. And great lads, great young boys. We really had a successful season. From the year before, they struggled a bit, and we ended up becoming runners-up to South Melbourne by a point. So I look at that, and I look at what deems a successful season at youth level, and obviously there's a development part, and promoting people to hopefully step up to the senior ranks, which is what I believe is what your ultimate goal is. And that year we had 6 of those boys who made the senior squad for the following year, which was fantastic.
I mean, you're the perfect person for it. You were 15, 16 when you were thrust into the senior team. And I guess you had mentors and coaches back then who guided you and helped you. And did you try and sort of bring back the ghosts of past in a way, and sort of harness some of those knowledge and some of those pieces of advice that coaches gave to you that you passed on to those kids?
Most definitely. I think that was probably the biggest part you played, or the most energy was spent on sharing your experiences, what you believe is going to be beneficial for them as human beings first, as people in the world of football. Sure, there's the ability and, you know, the technical side, but I think I always have this mindset, you got to have the right person first. You know, the right person in your room for me is paramount. The footballer is second.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have the right character or build the right characters, I'm going to struggle football-wise, regardless of how talented they may be. So for me, as you go over time, you start to refine what you believe is important. I've got to this point where I really do believe character is number one for me, of the individual first and foremost before the footballer comes into play. Because in football, as we all know, it's not always, you know, sunny and rosy and you're winning every week and God knows what. there's more times you're going to be tested and it's going to be difficult, and that's where that character comes out. And if you've got a whole room of the right characters, you've got a greater chance of doing something positive, as opposed to having a lot of talented footballers but questionable characters. So a lot of that time was sharing what you believed was important and trying to make them men in the world of football, because how I always say, mum and dad can't help you anymore. Just preparing them for senior football. You have to be resilient. You have to be also mentally strong to take constructive criticism. It's not personal. It's maybe at that point, if I'm the coach, it's my view. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's my view. But you at least have to be a person where you listen to everyone, take it on board, and try to take whatever information you can to make a better version of you.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that.
Well, what year was this around?
2011.
2011. So the by that stage,
Yep.
the NSL had died.
Correct.
The A-League had started. And look, back in our generation, I guess in your generation, you knew as a footballer, you always, your dream was to play maybe in the NSL, play for the Melbourne Knights, play for Sydney United.
Yeah.
You kind of, the motivation was there and you knew it, the pathway. But by then, 2010, 2011, that wasn't there anymore.
No.
The Victorian Premier League was a mere shadow of what it had once upon a time been when you were playing at Dinamo. The motivation factor, were the kids, the talented kids, let's look at just the talented kids, were they as motivated as that generation of yours in the 80s and 90s to be footballers? Or by that stage, were there other things more important and that was a bit of a distraction?
Yeah, look, it's a good question, and it's a question that probably gets asked quite a lot in conversations, even today. I think it's a different time. There was a time when we played. I often talk to people, we get together, we talk about football, how much time kids spend kicking the ball and all that kind of stuff. When we grew up, that's all we did. We were in the backyard with my brothers, my cousins, your friends, school holidays, every opportunity, daylight saving, you're in the park. That's all you did. You kicked the ball. I'll go back when I first started playing in 2011, in 1980 with under 11s with Jozijovic. I don't remember Jozijovic showing me how to stop a ball or pass a ball. You already knew that. It's almost self-taught. You had to deal with it. You're thrown in the deep end, in the backyard or in the park, and you dealt with it the best way you found to achieve whatever it was that you needed to at the time. So you're always playing. Then fast forward, different generations, there's different distractions. There's different things that football isn't the only thing anymore. And I think in 2011, we had a lot of good boys who still had that passion and the desire. But as you say before, there was other things. Football wasn't the only thing, These are now a second generation of kid, if we talk from the Croatian point of view in the community.
In a recent conversation I had with someone, and I said, what's the big difference about coaching kids today and coaching kids of yesteryear? And they said, look, today it's the TikTok generation. They don't really have much of an attention span.
Yeah.
And I guess back in the day, Micky, you had, and we're just kind of showing the drum kit there. I guess music may have been a bit of a distraction for you, but and for a lot of the other boys, and they were getting cars, the hot cars, maybe the girls, maybe the booze. They were all distractions. But I tend to think back in those days, young players were able to switch on and switch off. So they were able to focus a lot better. Today, we sort of seem to have kids who are very talented. Yep. They've got the dreams, they've got the aspirations, they just can't focus. Yep. And we seem to find that a lot with the inconsistency of a lot of the performers of young kids. You've gone from coaching Gorspic Bears. You've coached, maybe the most talented young up and coming players at the Melbourne Knights, and then you've gone on to senior football, and you've been surrounded by a lot of young players who have looked up to you. Their parents looked up to you, and now the kids looked up to you. How do you kind of deal with that lack of attention span of the modern generation, the TikTok generation?
Yeah. Look, I think being a parent helps understand because I'll look at my children first before I comment on anyone outside my family. So I see my 3 girls and their difference in age and difference in some of those things that we just talked about. And my youngest one, is a different generation. She's 15, and they're of a generation of what you talk about now. I think, I mean, I'm no psychologist or God knows what, but that whole TikTok generation and that concentration I see on her, for example. So I think there's validity to what you say in terms of that. And in the football world that you're part of, I use analysis as an example. I find, and again, this is not having a go at anybody, I find that in parts where you spend time in the NPL world, you try to bring in video analysis of some games and stuff like that, and with the limited resources that I've had available over the course of your time, you sort of have to do this yourself. And as you do it, sometimes you try, you get together in the room, and there's some of the older players embrace it and really engage in it. But then 5-10 minutes into a video analysis, I find individuals already I could tell in their body language, they're already somewhere else. They're already talking about or thinking about that plane that's flying out over the grandstand or God knows what or whatever it may be, you know what I mean? And then you've got a group of people that really engage in what you're trying to discuss and analyse and whatever it may be. So I found, or just using that as an example, where the clips that you put together had to be 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Anything longer than that, it's too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's probably the first part of that whole attention span topic that you talk about that I experienced.
Yeah.
Training, it's about keeping things moving. Explanations of some things, going through some things sometimes can lose some people, I suppose. So you always try to get better at that, keeping it short and keeping it concise so we can go on to the next thing, keep them involved, keep them moving, keep them active, so they don't have time to waver and switch off, I suppose.
Yeah.
And again, it's not the whole squad. In whatever squad you are part of, it's a group of people. And I don't want to point the finger at the young guys. I mean, that they're part of society. That's where society is at today.
Yeah,
so it's not their fault, It's just where things are at, and we're not immune from it in football, regardless.
No. Now, you're not only a living legend of Dinamo, you're a living legend of the Croatian community. Let's be more precise, the Croatian football community here in Victoria. I don't think there are too many. I don't think if there are any coaches that have actually coached at every Croatian-backed club here in Victoria, but you've coached at the Melbourne Knights, at Dinamo, at Gorspic Bears, at North Geelong, at Dandenong City, and now you're at Strathmore. All right, so after Melbourne Knights Youth, where did you go? And let's talk very, very quickly and very briefly about your time at each one of those clubs.
Yeah, so from Knights, had the opportunity to take the senior squad to the tournament in Sydney that year. We won it. So that was your first foray into senior football. From that opportunity, got a call up from St Albans in 2012. They were in the State 1 at the time to coach there. It wasn't easy to leave Knights. I really enjoyed it. It was great. But it was an opportunity to step and touch the senior football, dip your toes in the water of that world. Went there and spent a year and a half there before.
What was that like? Look, you've come back to your boyhood club. You've come to the club that really, really is your club.
Yeah, correct. And it was.
Did you feel pressure?
It was 100%. There's pressure there, because you want to try to do the best you can for the club, and the club was struggling. You know what I mean? Financially is always hard. You know what I mean? So and the competition, and they had a young squad trying to create because they basically lost almost a whole squad. And so I was rebuilding pretty much from about 3 players a team. And in the end, the goal was just to survive, which we did. And 2013, stayed there and tried to build on that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And you moved on And so after Dinamo in 2014, I went to Richmond. Mickey Peterson was the TD there, and he was sort of tapping my shoulder for a couple of years to be part of their setup there, which was very humbling. A lot of respect for Michael Peterson, as many know in the football world. So I went across there and did their under-21s and was assistant coach to Grant Brebner, who was looking after the senior squad. So created some new friendships and still hold today with these individuals and really enjoyed it. Richmond, German back club at the time, I really did enjoy it. First time in a non-Croatian environment. But a lot of good memories, and as I said earlier on, made some great friendships until North Geelong approached me, and that was, I think, around May, and to go across the north to take on the senior squad there, who was struggling. I remember having a meeting at Joe Zilch's house. We actually had a gig at the Geelong Dom, and after doing a sound check, popped over there with Deeksy, who coordinated it all, and Joe Zilich was a big part of that. And obviously Matt, I think Lola Jakic was there, and a number of individuals. We discussed and shared some views on some things, and to be honest, it wasn't an easy decision to leave Richmond. I mean, I had to think about it for a couple of weeks, and in the end decided, okay, let's give it a go. And that year was crazy. You know, your first game was against St Albans. You know, at St Albans.
Oh, no
you know?
way.
And obviously North was struggling, and you know, spent like that week. We had 3 sessions prior to the game, get to know who's who and all that kind of jazz, and make a few quick changes to some things that you believe in and mindset, etc., etc. We went on to win 3-0 at St Albans, and that's where this crazy run started, where we ended up winning like 13 out of 16 games and gone from like 10th on the ladder to second and winning promotion to the NPL that nobody saw coming.
And I remember you said it was a 3-year plan
There was a year, I remember,
one year into the 3-year plan, you've achieved your goal.
Well, we sat at Joe George's house, and you know, we talked about what's the big picture, what do you want to do, and the plan was like in 3 years' time, let's prepare, build, and look to get promoted into the NPL, which was very responsible, very realistic, you know, and although it doesn't guarantee you'll achieve it, no, but at least there was a plan in place, which is great. And but as we said earlier, went on this crazy run and we ended up getting promoted. And you know, geez, you know, you got Coach of the Year, which is, you know, again, you know, they're all awards, they're always nice, but again, it's nice. It's got your name on it, but it's the team. We all make that, you know, how I look at it. If we didn't achieve that, you wouldn't have got that. So it's the team that's part of that, you know. And then obviously that year, tournament, Wollongong. First time the North's been in the final, and we ended up winning it. So that was, you know, a great weekend in so many ways, because, I mean, obviously the award night back in Melbourne was that Friday night, and obviously we're up in Wollongong and making the final and winning against Adelaide, Croatia in the final. First time for North, which is fantastic. And then, you know, obviously the next year, 2015, in the NPL with the big boys. Same budget, but you know what I mean? Pretty much the same squad. And the boys were courageous. They were great. You know, we knew what our shortcomings were as a club financially, but we were brave. And like I say, I'll give everyone credit for having the correct attitude, you know, in terms of what we were facing. And unfortunately, we ended up getting relegated with a playoff game against Malmö Victory, which we had to wait 6 weeks for after our season finished. So that was a bit of a FFV schmozzle, which they corrected the year after. Went back down, 2016. Same thing again, you know, we go on this. Nobody ever said, mate, let's go back up. We've got to get promoted, you know. You know, lo and behold, we put ourselves in a position to go into a playoff with Dandy Thunder at the end, which we beat 4-1 at Paul Melman's ground. And Dandy Thunder was a big club with big budgets and all that kind of stuff. And we've gone on to do something special there. And you know, we drew Richmond in the playoff game because they were third last in the NPL. And we ended up beating them 4-0 at Oakley's ground and promoted again, you know, back up to the NPL. Same challenges, same, unfortunately, not so much restrictions, but just the geographical situation always makes it hard for a club like Geelong to
attracting good players.
Yeah,
down
you
to
know
Geelong,
what I mean,
yeah.
and you know, I don't agree with it, but it's a part of the game. You know, the financial part. We just didn't have
Yeah,
the
it's
financial
funny.
resources.
It's funny, Mickey. I mean, I'm Geelong based, and I think to myself, driving up to Melbourne, you'll do it sometimes twice in the one day. It's not that far, 45 minutes to the West Coast. But for a lot of my Melbourne friends, coming to Geelong is like coming to the arse end of the world, so to speak. But it's just down the road.
It's true, and I know Vlado Jagic. Well, one thing he always said to me, because he travelled from Geelong for work and everything, is he go, for us, it's no big deal. And I talk to many people. Me driving to Geelong for almost 4 years. 3 times a week training and match day. I got used to it. It didn't bother me. It was always pretty much the same time. There was no traffic, and I had a routine, and it would work well. So it wasn't an issue, But yeah, like I said, 2017, we ended up getting relegated. We got relegated, unfortunately, same thing, and that's where you parted ways, and moved on to an opportunity that was presented at Melbourne Knights 2018 to work with Odosha Sanovic.
Yeah,
and down at Trunsa. Did their 21s, or at the time it was 21s, and assisting them. So again, great time, great experience, meeting these people that you still hold dear today and talk to on a regular basis. You go through 2018, that experience, took the senior squad to the Gold Coast tournament, winning that with Melbourne Knights. Again, it was, another great memory. And from that point, you go into the opportunity to be head coach, because Odosha Sanovic didn't come back because he got a gig with Slaven Bilic in Saudi Arabia. And I ended up getting the head coaching job there, which we had a great time. Parted ways in round 14.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were equal third. There was a bit of history around that. We don't have to go into that, but that's football. That's how it goes. And, great times, and I loved every minute of it, and I wouldn't do anything different. Again, solidified relationships as you move on from that part into a short stint at Dandy City, and from Dandy City into Strathmore, where you find yourself today in a different competition, different challenges, same budget constraints, unfortunately, but it still keeps you involved in football, and I've enjoyed it. I know there's challenges. There always will be in football, but like I always say to everyone, you're creating memories, and that's for me probably the most important thing, doing something that you love doing, although there is challenging times, but creating memories and some great friendships with some super people,
Yeah, mate, we could go on for forever and a day. And we'll have to wind it up here, but just thoughts about when you were told that the St Albans Dinamo Best and Fairest Award was named after you, or was going to be named after you. How'd you feel?
Well, that was something that I probably, at the time, when Daniel Utisha approached me about the idea and how I felt about it, it was first I thought to myself, why me? Like, I go, there's so many other people I think deserving of something like this, but truly I can't even really explain how humbled and proud I am to be part of that, and as you get older and you see this and you see the club develop and grow and become what it is today, and it will continue to grow. We've got some great people at the helm there, and it just makes you more and more proud every year when it gets announced, and the player that's earned that, and as a player, at this club and a person, you sort of always think to yourself, well, you've left some kind of legacy of some sort, even though you might not be remembered by many who probably weren't around when you were playing, I guess, but having, your name associated with that award, when that day comes when you're not part of this world, you like to think that there's something that still is there to remind people of somebody that did spend quite a bit of time at St Albans Dinamo.
Well, Mickey, I mean, over the years, and I look at my own sports journalism career, I've had the pleasure of interviewing so many players all around the world, and from players to coaches to living legends. But I must say this last hour has been absolutely riveting for me, and I hope the viewers of Dinamo TV have enjoyed this. It's so big that we've had to cut it up into two parts, you know. But mate, thank you so much for being a part of Dinamo TV. Thank you so much for your contribution to the club and your future contributions as well. And like I said, we could talk and on. We didn't even talk about your contribution to the Croatian community and, you know, what the future lies ahead. But whatever does lie ahead for you, mate, wishing you all the very best and really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tonchi. Pleasure being part of it. Very humbled and well done again on a super show. Well done.
And we'll be back, folks, after this very, very short break. It's Dinamo TV that you are watching.
G'day here, Danny Yukisha here. Been part of the club forever and a day, volunteering for over the last decade and a half, which has been fantastic. Been part of the committee at the moment with the tournament, and we're looking forward to a great one. But to help facilitate that, we will need a lot more volunteers like yourself. So hopefully you guys can get behind us and help us out to make this tournament a successful one for our whole community.
Hi, I'm Steve. I've been here since I was 12 years old at the club. I love supporting the club, I love helping out, volunteering, and yeah.
How you going? Rob Micklich here. I'd love to see a lot more people volunteer their time if they can to help out the kids with just helping out with Dinamo at the club, and hoping to get more people to help us out with the tourney coming up shortly.
Volunteering for the club is fantastic for the children, and our community all stays together, and we all do our part to keep it all together.
Christian Dulwich here for the big 2024 Dinamo tournament, hosted here anywhere else, but we're in St Albans. We need volunteers like you, like myself, like Milch, and a whole bunch of others. Join now and welcome to the crew.
Volunteering is lots of fun. It makes you feel as if you're a part of a community, and bringing your friends along makes it one to remember.
Yeah, so come sign up and be a part of such a great weekend.
Why do I like volunteering my time at Dinamo? Because it gives back to our community, it's for our kids, and yeah, it's improvement around the place, and hopefully everyone gets to see it at the Crow tournament on Grand Final weekend this year.
G'day guys, Darren Cordial here. Volunteering is a big part of our club. We've got the Croatian tournament coming up soon, and we'd love to see you as a volunteer. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Natalie Matrevsky.
Hi, I'm Anna Miach.
And I'm Lucy Havolik, and we are your volunteers.
We'd love for you to come and sign up
For this year's soccer tournament.
Proudly hosted by Dinamo Soccer Club. So sign up and come and join the Blue Crew.
That's right, folks. Sign up and join the Blue Crew. because the tournament is just, 3 weeks away. Gosh, unbelievable. Well, as the countdown to this year's Australian-Croatian soccer tournament continues, this brings us to the end of another episode of Dinamo TV. We'll be back again next Thursday, I'm sure, with a lot of announcements and news regarding the tournament, because there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and including there's a big working bee coming up this weekend at the club. And as well, there'll be so much more announcements to be made over the course of the next few days and weeks leading up to the tournament. On that note, thank you very much for being a part of Dinamo TV. Wish you all the very, very best and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.